How's it going, everyone? Today we're going to talk about Laker news involving Stephen A. Smith comparing Dwight Howard's career to the career outlook that Paul George may be having and Kyle Kuzma responding to it. And we'll also go over who I believe is the X factor for the Lakers against the Nuggets. But before we get to the video, if you could take the time to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, it would be greatly appreciated. I got a lot of videos on the way, so turn on notifications to get notified right away when I drop a video. Thank you. But anyway, let's get on to the video. And really, I thought this was a pretty weird comparison to make, and I think Stephen A is pretty off on this one. Not only is it kind of hard to compare a guy like Paul George, who plays on the perimeter and is primarily a wing player, to Dwight Howard, who is a center and plays an older style of game, but it doesn't even seem logical to me. And Kyle Kuzma called him out on it. Kuzma wrote on Twitter, "He went to the finals and three-peated Defensive Player of the Year. Nobody's doing that anymore." He was referring to Dwight Howard when he said that, and Dwight Howard and Paul George have had very different careers through each of their first 10 years in the league. Dwight Howard was a much more accomplished player through that point, having been an 8-time All-Star already, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, 3 years in a row, was named to the All-Defensive team 5 times, and took his team to the finals while taking down a tough Cleveland Cavalier team with LeBron and a tough Boston Celtic team along the way. And while Paul George has also had a good career through 10 years in the league, it doesn't compare at all to what Howard has accomplished. When it comes down to playing best when it matters most in the playoffs, Paul George hasn't played well since being with Indiana. In the last 3 years in the playoffs, he has shot only 41% from the field and under 34% from 3. He really hasn't performed up to expectations when his teams have needed him most. And because of that, if anything, I think their careers are very opposite. Dwight Howard had a very accomplished beginning of his career while playing on good teams and even getting to the finals, which is what matters most to a great player's legacy. And Paul George, on the other hand, while he has played on good teams early in his career, he didn't play on great teams, and he wasn't even the absolute #1 guy on his team until his 3rd year in the league. And along with that, he has never led a team to the finals, or has even been the #1 guy on his team in the past couple of years. Instead though, his later half of his career could potentially be a lot more accomplished while being a #2 guy on a team, as opposed to Dwight Howard, where the second half of his career started to tail off and he is no longer a centerpiece on a team. So if we're looking at a comparison of their careers like that, which I believe is the correct way of doing it, I really don't think there is little to any correlation between the two in terms of career legacy. But what do you guys think? Do Dwight Howard and Paul George fall into the same category in career outlook when you compare their careers up to this point? I really don't think so, but leave your thoughts down below if you feel differently, or if you agree with me and explain why. But now we'll move on to talking about who I believe is the X factor for the Lakers to beat the Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals. And this looks like to be a very good matchup, as both teams are playing their best basketball of the year and seem to be peaking at the right time. Both have loaded offensive talent, and both teams have good defenders as well. But for the Lakers, I believe Rajon Rondo will absolutely be the X factor. And while everyone is jumping on the playoff Rondo hype train now, and this may not seem like a bold prediction or anything crazy, I believe Rondo has the ability to create the biggest matchup problem outside of LeBron or AD for the Lakers, or Jamal Murray or Jokic for the Nuggets. And I believe this because while the Nuggets do have great wing defenders, they don't particularly have a great guy to defend Rondo or the Lakers' big men. And I believe this will give Rondo a lot more potential, as he will be more easily allowed to get past his defender and find Anthony Davis, Dwight Howard, and JaVale McGee on easy alley-oops or for easy baskets right by the rim. Jokic is a great player, but he isn't a great defender and doesn't have the athletic ability to keep up with the Laker bigs, especially when Rondo gets to the rim, and Jokic has to make a choice to either pick up Rondo driving to the rim or to stay home on his matchup and not let them get room to cut to the rim. And along with that, if Rondo can continue to shoot and defend the way he did against the Rockets, he will be even more important to the team winning. I talked about this in my preview video for the Lakers and Nuggets, but Rondo has once again elevated his game in every category in the playoffs compared to the regular year. His numbers are higher in every category, and that even goes for his defensive and shooting numbers as well. He averaged 2 steals a game in round 2 while shooting an incredibly efficient 51.2% from the field and 44.4% from 3. And for a guy like Rondo, who opposing teams still often let shoot due to being labeled as a bad shooter from the earlier part of his career, if he can continue to shoot like that, it would make it really hard for the Nuggets to defend him. And even more so because oftentimes the Nuggets have Jamal Murray or Monte Morris guard the opposing team's point guard when in the game. Neither of them are great defenders, and if Rondo could take advantage of that while also tiring out Jamal Murray a bit, that could be huge in limiting Murray's offensive production. And then along with that, Rondo can make a huge impact on defense, and particularly again on Jamal Murray. In round 2, Rondo would oftentimes pick up Harden and Westbrook nearly full court and bother them while bringing the ball up the court. And while doing that, he stole the ball from them a few times, drew a few offensive fouls, and overall was a pest to them. If he can do that to Jamal Murray and the other guards the Nuggets have, that could potentially be very effective in getting a mental edge over them. I think more than anything, Rondo still being a great defender is what surprised me most about the way he has played in the playoffs. During the regular year, he often seems slow or unfocused while defending, but he has been anything but that during the playoffs. If he can continue to play like that against the Nuggets, he could make a huge impact for the Lakers. But what do you guys think? Is Rondo the X factor for the Lakers winning, or is it someone else like Kyle Kuzma or Danny Green? Let me know in the comments and we can talk about it there. But I think that'll do it for this video. Leave a comment about what you think of Stephen A's comments on Dwight and Paul George, along with my thoughts on Rajon Rondo being the X factor for the Lakers. And don't forget to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And as always, thank you for watching.